So today in Coach's Corner, what I wanted to go through is this 3-tier progression model, specifically for anybody, but specifically for even more so for general population. So folks that want to get stronger, build some lean muscle, get fitter, right? And usually what you see is kind of like only one, maybe two ways of progressing people. And so this is actually an example of how I'm doing it with a whole bunch of clients currently right now, and using a superset example. For most clients that are general population clients, we're going to use supersets. Why? One, it's like we're going to cut down the time of training because they only have so much time to train. There's going to be some, I would say, cardiovascular benefits from there. The muscle is still resting, right? In this case, we're going to do a lower body and an upper body. But I wanted to show you like a specific progression and how I use this and some other examples of how you can progress it, right? Where most people either increase a rep, constantly increasing loads, and that's it, and actually not have a good system for doing that and not manipulating time either. So I wanted to show you a 4-week progression and then how you can take this out to like an 8-week progression as well. So for example, if I have somebody doing a safety squat bar, this is from a program I'm currently using with a client, right? Safety squat bar, I'm going to do 3 sets of 6 in week 1. And they're going to superset that with the dumbbell chest supported row for 3 sets of 8. The rest period is going to be 90 seconds, right? So they're going to do a safety squat bar for 6. They're going to have a 90-second break, and then they're going to do a chest-supported row for 3 sets of 8. To have a 90-second break, and then go back to the safety squat bar, right? Now, this is not a pure beginner person, but nonetheless, the progression model and the principle of it stays the same. From there, we're going to move to week 2, right? Week 2, we're going to add a rep, right? And again, for most people, you're not taking these to pure failure, so adding a rep, you're going to be able to do it for sure. And it's going to be more challenging, right? So we're going to go 3 sets of 7 on a safety squat bar, 3 sets of 8 on a dumbbell chest supported row. Same thing. We're keeping that rest period at 90 seconds. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to show you this progression, but keep in mind that we can take this for multiple weeks, right? We could go to 8 reps in week 3, 9 reps in week 3. But in this scenario, what I've been doing as a model is then bumping up the volume by adding a set. Right. So we're going from 3 sets to now 4 sets in week 3, still keeping that rest break at 90 seconds. Right. So this is a significant increase in volume. So if we were, writing down numbers and, the 3 sets of 6, this was 200 pounds on the bar. This was 100 total pounds on the rows. You can kind of start calculating the volume, right? We're increasing the volume a little bit here because we're doing extra reps on every set. Adding a set here, we're definitely increasing the volume here. But then what we do in week 4, we're keeping that same set and rep scheme, 4 sets of 7, 4 sets of 8, but we're cutting the break down to 75 seconds. Now, if you have taken 15 seconds off of your rest break and you're actually timing it, right, pretty to the T, you'll see how much more challenging this gets. And now what happens from this week to this week is we are now doing the same amount of volume, but in less time, right? Because think about this. We're cutting 15 seconds and 8 different sets. So we're doing the same amount of work in 2 less minutes, right? So think about capacity in that sense. And essentially what we would do as a baseline model of this is go right back. So if we went to a new program and if we were using the same exercises, right, we'd now increase loads. Notice that. So this was a model where we didn't even increase the load. And I've talked about this before as far as Christian Thibodeau's neurotyping, right? That some people are, I would say, looking for safety and they're scared of increasing weight. That's a trigger for them. So this is a progression model where you didn't have to increase weight, but you were increasing volume and making things more challenging. And going through that model progression, you then increase the weight. And then you could go into the same thing. Now, again, if you want to change exercises and we went from safety bar squat to a front squat, from a dumbbell chest supported row to 1-arm cable supported row, and we repeated the model. But one thing I will say is this, that with most general population, you can take things way further to continue to get results, like more than 4 weeks, right? I've seen this a lot where everything's a 4-week program. With kind of beginners and what I call beginner plus. So you have been training for a while, but you're still in that beginner stage. you could easily go 2 weeks of each progression. So let me explain, right? So week 1, we'd go 3 sets of 6, 3 sets of 8. Week 2, 3 sets of 7, 3 sets of 8. But then we'd go another week, right? So now we'd go 3, 8, 3, 9 before we increase the volume. So we could just spread this out a lot further. And then here we'd go from 75 seconds down to 60 seconds, which is very, very challenging, right? And we'd have like a 6-week model, and then we'd start back up and go a little bit heavier, right? And we could keep the same exercises, honestly, but we could also change them, right? And in this example of this first superset, what we have is safety squat bar, dumbbell chest supported row, right? So let's say we did 2A and 2B. And in this scenario, this might be a dumbbell RDL, right? So we're going to do a hinge movement here and a dumbbell bench press. And we would follow the similar progression. Now, again, the reps might be a little bit different, but the progression of this would be the same. The reason I found this to be really successful is because you're kind of doing all the things that most general population clients are looking for, right? Now, listen, I did not include the conditioning that we do at the end. I didn't include any jumps, throws, sprints, and dynamic warm-ups here, but just kind of like the meat and potatoes of that strength resistance part of it. But because you're doing it this way, you're able to get improvements in like volume. It's going to build muscle. You're going to cut down the time. It's going to, again, they're going to get more work done in less time. It's going to be some, cardiovascular demanding as well. And we're still going to progress the loads, right? So they're going to get stronger. They're going to build muscle. They're going to get fitter. And again, this is real world example from what we use in a lot of scenarios, and it just works, right? So try implementing this. If you have any type of group program, by the way, this works really well too. So think small group, semi-private training, working through this model, and do it for the next 12 weeks and see the effects of running it through this model. Because I promise you, you'll be surprised and the clients will be surprised with the effects of it, right? So don't just stay stuck in just adding reps or just adding weight, right? But mix it up in a progressive way and use this and see results. And if you want to have more insight on program design, how to help people look, feel, and perform better without the nagging aches and pains, make sure to subscribe to this channel.